Picture this. You're standing on the Mediterranean shoreline, sun on your neck, waves breaking against the coast. In the faint distance, seagulls cry. And then the scent hits you. Not the salty ocean breeze. Sea snails, rot, and labor. This is where our Turn Back Time Tuesday begins, with a color so rare it could be worth more than gold, and so influential it may have helped dye the memory of Canaan itself. Welcome back, you gorgeous goddesses, gods, and all deities in between. I'm Rion, your culty BFF, and today we're following a snail trail. Don't you look that up. This color was so special, so desired, yet somehow it was made from these tiny little Murex sea snails. It was worked into textiles, worn by elites, and even woven into the myths of goddesses like Anat. The exciting part is that there's a mystery here that may never be fully solved. Was Canaan so closely associated with purple that the name itself might be tied to the dye? Tie-dyed. It's too easy. Or did purple's fame help shape how Canaan was remembered? Either way, that question opens the door to a world where color saturates the landscape through labor, trade, status, myth, and memory. Our historical snail trail starts along the Levantine coast, where archaeologists have found heaps and heaps of these Murex shells, dye vats, stained ceramics, and pottery marked with purple residue, the physical remains of an ancient industry. And to make it took an enormous amount of labor. And some say that there's an estimate of up to 12,000 mollusks just to make a single gram of this very precious dye. Plus the careful processing, skilled workers, and then not to mention the stench. One of the most striking examples comes from es-Samak, where piles of Murex shells and purple stained pottery shards give us a window into this coastal dye production and generations of craft knowledge. This is also where the Greek word phoinix, pardon my pronunciation, gets interesting. It can point to the Phoenicians or to this reddish color purple. And then, the people famously known for the dye. That doesn't solve the mystery, but it gives us another little thread to pull upon. The dye began at coastal labor, but textiles turned that labor into something portable, visible, and extremely valuable. Once purple was worked into cloth, pigment, or mixtures, it could leave the shoreline and move through markets, palaces, temples, elite households, diplomatic gifts, and eventually into myth. That's what made purple so powerful. It carried the labor of the workshop, the skill of the dyer, the precision of the weaver, and the status of the person wearing it. It was costly to produce, so it took money, honey. If you wanted to adorn yourself, you had to pay. But I do wonder, how much were those workers getting paid? One will never know. Or maybe we do know. Is that written down somewhere, like a minimum wage of the Bronze Age? Anyhow, purple's mystery shows up in ancient writing too, especially in the Akkadian tablets found in Mari, a city north of Canaan. Around 1800 to 1700 BCE, Akkadian was one of the major written languages of diplomacy and administration across that world. Last week we had some fun parsing out some family feuding discovered in those Mari tablets. I'll try to remember to put a link here. Terms like kinahu and related forms show up connected to this cool red-purple dye moving through the Bronze Age trade networks. Scholars debate whether the word points to Canaan itself, or to something Canaanite, or to the purple goods associated with the region. And that's why the name versus color question gets really spicy. Purple not only is woven through the language, at Ugarit, it's woven straight into myth. The tablets from Ugarit preserve forms like Kane, which does sound really similar to Kinahu, which shows us a Canaanite identity in the Bronze Age world. And there it slips into the divine wardrobe of a goddess, Anat. Anat is a goddess who, quite frankly, does not get her flowers. She's terrifying, formidable, she's known as warlike and a youthful maiden, intense like a man, something absolutely unable to soften into something polite. Even by her father, the mighty El. In one scene from the Baal and Anat cycle, Murex purple shows up as part of her battle preparation ritual. Henna of 7 maids, scent of coriander and Murex. Anat fights in the valley, battles between the two towns. She fights the people of the seashore, strikes the populace of the sunrise. Under her, like balls, are heads. Above her, like locust hands, like locust heaps of warriors' hands. She fixes heads to her back, fastens hands to her belt. Knee-deep she gleans in warrior blood, neck-deep in the gore of soldiers. You've probably heard of Kali, but hardly anybody knows about Anat. Anat was wading through blood with heads around her and hands hanging from her waist like some kind of crazed trophy long before Kali was trending on the internet. She deserves to be in this conversation too. With Anat, purple moves from a trade good to the divine image. Smith and Petard describe Anat's cosmetics as appearing to be a prelude to battle. I imagine the henna used is much like the henna we use today and adorned similarly. I mean, that's my assumption. It's pretty cool though, right? So did Canaan give its name to purple, or did purple help shape how Canaan was later remembered? We may never know for sure, but I kind of love that there's still a mystery out there. From Murex shells came a whole world. Pottery, jewelry, trade routes, culture, and myths of fierce goddesses like Anat. Places like Ugarit, Tyre, Sidon, Hatzor, and Megiddo were woven into Canaan's history with a purple thread. Later, Tyre become so famously known for this dye that we still use that phrase, Tyrian purple. These artifacts offer a glimpse of a vibrant culture, a society where purple played a starring role. More than just a pretty color, purple once helped build economies, shape legends, and maybe even in just the stories we tell about it, helped name the land. So thank you for joining me today. That's all I have for Turn Back Time Tuesday, and how purple might have dyed the memory of Canaan itself. Do you think you have the answer to this mystery? All I know is that we should keep asking questions because curiosity cured the cat. Meow. Wow. Meow.
You are so mean to me, little jerk face.